Welcome back, everyone. This is part 2 of the King's Castle. King James along with Where Chopin. And I want to switch gears here for a little bit and talk about what's coming up in about 2 weeks' time. The next Raw exclusive pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell, in Boston, Mass. Because we got some huge news concerning a lot of those the matches, including, for the first time ever at Hell in a Cell, the women will make history once again when, for the first time ever, the Women's Championship from Raw will be up for grabs inside the Devil's Playground, Hell in a Cell. It's going to be Sasha Banks defending against the former champion Charlotte. But I gotta ask you something, Boyer.
You do.
I mean, it's one thing for people to try, for the women to try to make history main eventing Raw, and it worked. But Sasha actually suggested that they have this match. Did she make a mistake in your opinion? Because not only could she lose the belt, but anything can happen in this match. It's anything goes.
I'm not operating under the assumption that it was Sasha's call. I think what the WWE saw in this is, like we've said before, they're trying to legitimize even further the women's division. And they're trying to build up separate superstars and everything, and so they're trying to legitimize her even further as a superstar along with Charlotte. So I think that's why it's getting kind of that main event buzz. And I doubt it was her decision at all. I mean, I don't think these people, unless they're mega stars, have any creative control. So I don't think it was a mistake. I don't think she's going to die or anything.
I'm saying she went out there and cut a promo on Raw suggesting that they had this match.
I know, but it's tough. Like, when you ask, did she make a mistake? It wasn't her choice. Like, she didn't have a choice. So it was like, that would be like saying, did you make a mistake waking up this morning? It's like, no, it's inevitable.
Well, allow me to rephrase the question. Did the powers that be make a mistake here? Because if you think about it, yes, the women have proven that they're now mainframe superstars and they deserve the opportunity to have these big matches. But like I said, careers have been shortened, ended. A lot of people have been severely injured. So if you ask me, it's a huge attraction, but it's also a huge risk.
But let's be honest. Like, there's a stigma that women's wrestling has had before, up until very recently when they made a push to further its popularity, that it wasn't as serious as the male competition. That it was kind of, when they had bras and panties matches, we can be honest, it was kind of comic relief. But if you have two,
it was more eye candy.
Two female wrestlers going up Hell in the Cell, destroying each other, and just putting their bodies through that, doesn't that do the most to legitimize women's wrestling?
Absolutely.
See, that's the point. That's the point.
Well, maybe so, but we'll see.
Because if you keep making this just like a sideshow thing, and you know, oh my gosh, it's so good, they have a championship and everything, people are still, I mean, wrestling fans who grew up like in the 90s, a lot of these people, you know, they don't have very friendly views towards women, just saying. So, I mean, you need to, like, unfortunately, they're under the burden to, like, have to prove themselves as worthy of being on an equal plateau to the men. So I think it's a great idea, honestly. If you want this to be popular and you want to eventually start the women's WWE or whatever, then you've got to say these women can do anything that men can do. Should you have to say it? No, but I think if you do a Hell in the Cell match and it goes well, then it proves that point.
So basically, you're saying that going into the new millennium, when you and I were growing up in the Atchison area, a lot of people thought what the women were doing was more of a stereotypical thing, and they were trying to just
I wouldn't say
use them as eye candy.
Yes, they were definitely. So there's a difference between, I wouldn't even they weren't really like wrestling attractions. Right. They were they were like something to look at, something they had some misogynistic things going on, something for kind of, like I said, comic relief. Or like any sort of intermission from the normal show. Now they're trying to make this push to put them on almost an equal plateau to the male wrestlers. And I think if you put them in Hell in the Cell and you let them compete under those brutal conditions, then I think that's a big step towards that. And that could be their thinking.
Right.
Because I know they're making a huge push for this to be successful. And that's like
without a doubt.
But it's tough when people, when the majority of their older fan base or middle-aged fan base, or even early 20s, mid-20s fan base, grew up in seeing women in these ridiculous situations and being
dressed up as Santa's helpers, or
nothing, but kind of being nothing more than a distraction or intermission.
Yeah.
So they kind of have the burden of proof to prove their legitimacy now to us, because not to me, but like to some viewers, because they're so used to them being portrayed in this way, and now they're trying to push them in another way, right?
Right. Well, that remains to be seen. And by the way, you could see Hell in a Cell on October 30th, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on the award-winning WWE Network.
What award?
It's a plug, man. That's what we got to do.
I know, but did they actually win an award?
Yeah, they've won.
Was the award presented by the WWE?
No, it's sports entertainment survey-related awards for customer satisfaction and things like that.
Well, good for them, I guess.
But anyway, I mentioned that we had a huge announcement concerning next week's Raw. Well, it's coming up next, so stay right there.